So why is XRP not pumping like crazy right now? And should I be worried? Well, for me personally, I just bought the XRP dip on the spot bags, and I've been saying, right, that we are waiting right now for hopefully a juicy breakout on XRP. Right now, as it stands, I still have got my trades open. I'm not closing anything, and that's primarily because, well, even though I could cash out my $1,000 that right now turned to $33,000, we already cashed out 21K on that trade. And I'm thinking, man, the moment XRP starts going for yet another move, because of its history now, because of the recent history, it'll probably be a pretty crazy ride. But more importantly, I keep thinking about it, really. Would I really be satisfied with the gains we've seen today? The gains we've seen the last couple of weeks? It's a lot. It's up 400%. And that directly answers the question as well of, why is it not really pumping like crazy right now? What's going on? The simple answer is it's up a ton throughout the last month. Most of the coins that are up a ton throughout the last month have a little cool down here, have a little calm down. Take a look at Bitcoin. Over the last 2 years, it's only gone up is what you can say in hindsight. But right, if you really start looking into it, this is the weekly chart. For the last 2 years, it's been only up. But there have been some weeks, there have been some days of down. And I'll tell you one thing, right? If we take a look at the XRP chart, for example, on a broader perspective, for example, let's look at this chart right here, right? This starts to look more and more unsustainable, well, depending on where the price ends. Why is that the case, though? It's because things move too fast. Not on the weekly, by the way, but on the monthly. What are we looking at here? If we're taking a look at it, we can see that this was the craziest candle ever for XRP, with another massive one following it, which obviously has only been for 5 days. There's already some crazy volatility up in those 5 days, 60% down in total, like maybe, let's see here real quick, about 20%, 6% up, about 20% down. But if we remember back a few years ago, every single time, right, it went crazy up, the next month was crazy down. People are worried for that. Now, this time around, XRP is not as late a gainer as previous seasons. Let me remind you that usually we always say XRP is the last one of the cycle to go. After all the other coins go absolutely crazy, that's when XRP goes. That's what we usually always were saying. This time around, Bitcoin was going on a crazy run, sure, but we really didn't even get to the Ethereum part yet of the cycle. So it kind of feels like XRP is setting a run, it's setting up for a run, it's going crazy, where we're still like in the middle phases, where most altcoins really haven't gotten their time in the spotlight yet. But some others have started to go back to heights. Then again, Ethereum hasn't even hit an all-time high. This run is significantly different, also because Bitcoin right now is at its major psychological barrier, 100K, and it just broke it. Now, we have stated for a while that we do believe Bitcoin from here still has quite a lot of room to grow further. And I still stand by that I think Bitcoin will just continue on from here towards the upside, even though the short term may look kind of turbulent. But I revert back to the XRP versus Bitcoin chart to state that really we've not seen that many crazy gains just quite yet. And perhaps, as right now a lot of money is flowing from these really crazy bullish performing ISO coins, a little bit of flowing back into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some other main coins that haven't done a crazy run yet. I think it's a matter of patience. It's a little bit of a matter of time because coins have got to cool down. If you go up and everybody keeps buying, because some people want that, right? They want to keep going up and up and up. The moment it crashes, we get like we just saw with XRP that I just gave you all as examples, right? You get coins, moments like the months previous. We don't want that. We want this to be sustainable and continued on towards the upside for many, many more months to come. Just like if we zoom out, how it basically looks like for Bitcoin over the last years. I'll remind you again that what we've seen for XRP here is very, very unique. It's the first time in 7.5 years or something like that, 7 years since we've broken out. We want this to be sustainable. If the gains are too fast, you crash to such an extent that people panic, and the panic just goes on and forward and on. Everything falls flat. What we do not want to see is these two things. One is too crazy of a pump, especially if, for example, we go to like $4.50 right now. We're that much above the all-time high that people think, ooh, it might have topped out here. Whereas where we're at right now, some people think this might be the highest point for the short term, sure. But most people do not think the season is over because we're still quite early in the month, right, on the calendar. If this were to basically go up like crazy right now, go to $4 or $5, whatever, maybe double from here, most people would think, you see, this was the end of the XRP run because it would just go all at once. We want some healthy pullbacks because ultimately, You can see how far we still have to go on the Bitcoin pair, right? But again, I'm looking at this from the scope of 6 to 12 months. If everything happens within 1 or 2 weeks, usually the crash is too severe because people make too much money too fast or because they over leverage to a certain degree. You got to keep people a little bit realistic by having some dips here and there. And I often say, even though it might not be amazing for you, you might not like it, it is a lot better to have a slow, sustainable rally up rather than explosive to just quick rise up. You guys get what I mean. Anyway, right now, by the way, guys, if you want to also trade, make sure you check out Blofin. I've left the link to the exchange down below so you can quickly go ahead and check it out. It's where we're trading on right now. But the same situation I see for many of the alts, guys. I don't think we've seen that much yet. HBAR has like extended quite far back into what I think is possible, meaning that for a broader run, HBAR has to, now I would say that HBAR has done really well. I still think it could do better, sure, but if we're talking about coins that are still undervalued, ADA, you can see right now from the chart, right? It falls more into that basket. XRP falls way more into that basket. HBAR has just performed really well on the legs up right now. That is back into I would say a stage where I don't really think it's that far out of line anymore, right? You could just say it's right basically smack in the middle. And that's basically where I see ADA and maybe coins like XRP also going again in the short term. But that would basically be a very significant or significantly different story for coins like ADA, which from here on forward, for example, to get to HBAR spot would still have to go up like 200% or so. And with XRP, just to, you can kind of see, right? For XRP, the gains would also have to be like a few 100% to get back into a spot where it's like in the middle of everything. It's very, very much below still for those coins. Shiba Inu, like I said earlier, is also attempting a breakout here. And it's going to be very interesting to watch as XRP right now on the short term is again looking poised for some sort of move. I mean, depending on how you draw it, you can even state that XRP right now is attempting to break out towards the upside. All I'm saying is Bitcoin right now going up usually leaves a lot of those altcoins which have performed like crazy over the past little while to take a little step back to push it right back into Bitcoin, and in this case also Ethereum. Then again, I will add that Ethereum has primarily been our coin to watch for the run, and all the altcoins have just performed really, really crazy over this period. Then again, as long as they do not crash massively, and people need to understand this, as long as they do not crash massively, we theoretically speaking are in quite a neutral spot, because if we're looking at the coins, like I just said, versus Bitcoin for coins like XRP, they really are in an okay spot to start gaining from here on a slower basis, again, going along with Bitcoin. If Bitcoin right now, again, starts going sideways again, not a heavy crash, but sideways with perhaps, hopefully, a slight downward bias, many of those altcoins will go for another rush. And yes, there's always altcoins that go for a crazier rush, but that's all like, how can you call it? You could call it temporary, or you could just call it cyclical. Some coins just do crazy on the day because the underlying nature of the market is quite bullish, and it's almost impossible to predict which coin will be at the top tomorrow. Most of it is based on hype. Right now, I've been seeing a lot of videos about Jasmy, a lot of videos on SUI, but I'm mostly just sticking to the coins that we know and that I'm very much happy to hold over prolonged periods of time. But take a look at the dominance, right? We have seen Bitcoin take back a lot of this dominance in a very short amount of time, even though recently it's just been cliff falling. I think as the numbers update later today, you'll see that Bitcoin has been taking back some of that dominance. So on the far right, let me make it a bit more clear. You can see here, this has been like the alt season, right? Basically since somewhere mid-November until now, Bitcoin has been going sideways, slightly down. Altcoins have been pumping like crazy. Even Ethereum, however, has been adding to its dominance over this period, but mostly the others have been going absolutely crazy. You can see the difference from 28 or so percent, 29% right here in the midst, all the way towards 32.5%, even though it was 27% here even. Maybe right now for a few days or a few, who knows, right? A little bit of Bitcoin taking back some of that dominance, altcoins slowing down a bit. Some people panicking like crazy, even though this is something that happens usually, especially keeping in mind that the coins are up hundreds of percent in a month. So what is my course of action? For me personally, what always is the best thing to do, this is me personally, is make things relative. If you've turned $1,000 into $4 million, just putting a crazy number out there. If I were you, I'd cash out like 3 million, leave 1 million to run, or maybe you started with 200,000, you turned to 4 million, just to put it in perspective. I'd probably cash out 3 million, keep 1 million to ride for the crazier heights. It depends on if you have a position or you're just holding coins. If you're holding coins, depends on if you're a patient man or if you're somebody who gets really stressed out over dips. If you get really stressed out over dips, I'd cash out more, for sure, my initial investment, and then maybe let the rest ride. But then at least you're stress-free, sort of. But if you're a very chill guy, you know what you hold, which is the most important part. then there's not really any reason to worry about it too much, in my opinion, right? And at the end of the day, we don't know for sure. But it's because I think we're going so much higher from here. And I've been saying this for years. Sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. But generally speaking here, the trend has been quite clear for crypto. It's been always the same thus far. Anyway, so getting back to it. Yeah, if I was a trader, I'd more so think of cashing out good chunks now that we're up like 400% in a month or so. Because it just makes sense, right? It's a risk to reward thing. There is a higher chance that over a multiple month period of time, you're going to go up way more. But on the short terms, since nobody knows, me as a trader, I just layer my buys down because I might have a target in mind. For example, I want to turn $3,000 into $100,000, but to do that, I might have to up my trades more and more and more as we go down. And I will start basically cashing out little chunks as we go up. For the most part, I'm just thinking of buying and getting as much size in at a good price. But then again, some people find that too stressful to get too big a position open. So they're just there for quick flips. Everybody's different. Am I feeling sweaty here? Well, I'd say that the higher things go, the riskier things get. The more to me it's been confirmed that the market basically moves the same way every single time. But I think people right now are finally given a little bit of a reality shock again, which I'd hoped had come earlier of if you keep long in the freaking longs, going max in every single time, sometimes you might lose. But as long as you've got enough leeway, in my opinion, and that's what I've shown you throughout the last few months, like last half a year here, it's very, very hard to lose. But don't get short-sighted and don't get too twitchy or panicky. Because again, if you're asking in the comment section, should I sell? Should I sell? That means you don't know what the frick you're doing. Get out when you're in a lot of profit or you're doing good and start researching actually what you're buying into. Put a little bit of effort in to understand what you're getting yourself into, because at the end of the day, these are your finances that you're talking about. Same thing for people asking me, should I buy? Again, I always explain, I think it's fine to buy at any point. I've described before what my strategy would be. If I was completely new and I wanted to buy in, I'd probably go for some strategy along the lines of this. Wherever you get in, even if you got it at the worst possible price of $2.90, you would have still been able to turn a profit like within, let's see here. You bought in right there. Oh, so bad. You bought at $2.90 on the 3rd. Within, let's see here, about a day, you'd be able to have flipped it in profit because you could have bought right there, then right there, then right there. And I drew this in before it even happened, which was coincidental. Anyway, let's just say that you bought in lower though. You started at this 200 mark. Again, you bought right there. Maybe you were waiting for another buy. It didn't really come just quite yet, but you bought slightly lower. Maybe even throughout this move here, you could have flipped it back into profit as the price is up like 11% or so from that bottom. If you had proper buys, maybe you could have gotten lucky by buying basically this bottom right there, right? The previous December 2nd bottom, which again, if you got into that at about $2.20, could have been pretty good because again, we're up a pretty good penny from that point. So again, it only gets scary if you're too afraid to buy back in. But if you're wondering, why are we not pumping like crazy? Well, you got to ask yourself, why did we pump in the first place? If you can answer that question, well, it's because we're good. And you also probably understand now why we're not pumping anymore. That's right. Because you don't know why we pumped anyway. It's a mixture of a lot of things people are waiting for. There's a lot of anticipation, a lot of hype, a lot of people just buying blindly because of other people's information. And it's a lot of people not selling. What I mean with that is a lot of people buying because of hype, because it's the #1 coin, because it's a gainer, because it's well known, because it's been around for a while. There's a very big culture, a very big group of people who know about it already, who knew about it from the past and have been holding for years. If there's a lot of people that have coins that are not really eager to sell, Ripple is a big part that's not really that eager to sell. Who's really selling? For the most part, the moment it starts going on a run and you're getting to prices that are unprecedented or not seen in many years, you have one of two scenarios. One is you really can't get over any hurdle, for example, the $1 mark, because they're capping it so hard. Because many people that I bought earlier, like the moment it gets close to $1, that's how we went to 96 cents back in 2023. The moment it gets close to a dollar, I'm selling everything because I've held for too long. The moment that gets broken, though, you realize, hey, people right now are not that eager to sell anymore because they think it's going to be going way higher. And there's just not that many new people buying in that are really afraid or really vulnerable. Most of the people, they know what they've got, and they're not that eager to sell until we're either way higher or, like I've said before, sometimes they have a broader strategy in place. So if you add all those things up, if the price goes up a lot more, in this case, it went up to close to $3. At the $3 mark, basically, $2.91, there was, again, what we said before, where we're getting to a point that's so high that some people, again, are thinking, this might be too much here. We might have gone up too much. We need to correct. And if everything like that bundles together, the quicker the run goes, the quicker the move up goes, the more people think, ooh, it's gone up so much, it's going to fall down. And that cascades. And then the best thing you're hoping for is that it does not fall down so much where it crashes because people get worried they're going to lose their investment. I know for bull markets, though, that even if people do lose their confidence, the best thing that theoretically speaking do is just buy. Because even if you, in hindsight, bought the XRP Pico top, if you'd kept on buying your way down, you'd still, because we got back to the all-time high basically right now, would have still made a good sum of money, as it still did a 30x from the bottom afterwards. But you gotta have patience for that, and some people don't have it, which is why people lose money trading even when the XP price only goes up. I told you about the one account I saw just now, who could have made millions of dollars, but unfortunately he fumbled it all because he was playing with leverage too much. You gotta think about this from the long scope. You wanna keep trading, you wanna keep buying, keep selling for the season, not for a week, not for a day, all right? It's a season. We've just started it, the real crazy part of it. It just started like a month or two ago. If you're already right now questioning everything, you gotta really do a bit more research about the cyclical nature of what we're dealing with here, because man, is this about to get really, really crazy. We've not seen anything just quite yet. And again, we could have another March situation or April where it goes down for a few weeks, maybe even a few months. It's fine, because now we realize that indeed this structure that we've seen throughout the last couple of cycles, perhaps we're going to see exactly the 2017 cycle again of mostly just up with some, a few weeks of dips in the midst here. Maybe it's going to be a 2021 where we go down 50-60% for like a few months and then start going on a second run. We don't know. Maybe it's going to be up, down, a little bit crazier. Oh, I see the camera is stuck. All we do know is most likely we have at least a few more months left, and Bitcoin now breaking 100,000 means, well, from here on forward, the sky's the limit, and I think the altcoins will also show that. But again, short term, nobody really knows. Long term, I think we're on to something really, really great, and I always consider it lucky that we got in so early. But yeah, that's about it. If you enjoyed these crypto videos, make sure you press that like button, and I'll see you guys again in another crypto video. If you want to trade, like I said below, our link is down below. You might want to check that out. Put the notification bell on so you never miss another crypto update.